Rewilding America now with wild horses at Birch Creek Valley in Jocelyn, Idaho. So, who is Rewilding America now? Well, Rewilding America now is the Canada Foundation. We've rebranded ourselves with the onset of our new CEO and general and managing director. It was an amazing opportunity that came our way. There's a man named Michael Nathanson, who is now our acting CEO, and it's a fabulously interesting story and just lends passion and credibility to the plight of the wild horses and the environmental need to rewild. This gentleman was the chief operating officer of MGM, Paramount, Universal, and Regal Entertainment. So this man has made over 800 films and had a career in Hollywood, California, doing all these kinds of things. And we were introduced through a friend, and I spoke of what we were doing, and he asked me, he said, well, why don't I know about this? Why don't I know about horses and roundups? And why didn't I know about this? And I said, well, nobody really knows outside of animal advocacy. It's a hard thing, and the goal is to try to get people all over to understand that this is what's happening to the horses, this is how our tax dollars are being spent, and this is what's happening to our public rangelands. So the gentleman joined us on a trip out west and came back and said, this is incredible, how can I help and be a part of this, because the world has to know what's happening to these horses. And so Michael came on, we rebranded to Rewilding America Now, which gives a broader conversation to the horses and why the horses are so valuable on the land, and how the horses as a keystone species and rewilding help all these other animals. So that is our story how Michael came to join, and that's how we've shifted over the last year since we were at the conference last year. In that time, I met a gentleman named Dave Sticklan, who is from Idaho, and he had a project called Birch Creek. We'll discuss that in greater depth. We have another project at the time with a gentleman, a farmer rancher named Paul Silvernail in North Dakota, and a project in South Dakota with a Lakota buffalo rancher named Ron Brownotter. So these are the three projects that Rewilding America Now, formerly Canada Foundation, are working on, all with wild horses, growing grass, rewilding, buffalo, with their rebrand. And then this is who we are. So I thought we would just refresh a little bit. Everybody has heard Dr. Ross McPhee speak of horses as a keystone species, and that they are indigenous to North America. Maybe Dave could help us and give us a greater explanation from scientific perspective on how you see the horse as the keystone species.
Sure, appreciate that, Manda, and I've already spent a little time with folks, and folks kind of have a view of this, but my background is as a wildlife biologist. In fact, I was a wildlife biologist for the Forest Service, and so I came to this idea looking at wildlife, and what's really important to me as a wildlife ecologist is the niches and how wildlife functions together, not just, elk, or not just bears, or how it works together. And to me, it has always made sense that the missing niches, and right now we have a very depauperate megafauna population in North America, and those are just empty niches, which in some time will be filled. Now, in a short amount of evolutionary time, in just 1 million or 2 years, things will have evolved there. But I'm really bummed to be a wildlife biologist right now in the middle of that, you know? And so actually, when people started talking about horses on the range, it's like, oh, that's that niche. That's where they are. And it really doesn't matter whether there was late survival into 6,000 years, which we have the DNA for. There was late survival into at least 6,000 years ago in some places, or whether we have a bone from 11,000 years ago, or whether we don't. It doesn't really, I know it's important to some of the folks, and I'm not underestimating that, but it doesn't matter to me. 10,000 years for an ecologist is nothing. Okay, and so the bighorn sheep were gone, the elk were gone out of Birch Creek Valley. They brought them back, and the vegetation that was there, if they could speak, the blue bunch wheatgrass, the Indian rice grass, the needle and thread. He said, oh, the bighorn sheep are back. He said, oh, horses are back. And they're just filling part of that niche. And so to me, horses are wildlife. Okay. Now genetically, the horses that came over with Columbus are the biological definition of a species, and the species definition is wrong. It's difficult. You would think you could define species, but it's really pretty difficult. But the biological definition of species says that if an individual can breed with another individual and have fertile offspring, then they're the same species. Those are the same horses. Those are the same horses. And so to me, they're just the wildlife. And you say, well, they're domestic or they're not. Nobody told the horses. Okay. So when Manda said, you know, we have to have horses on the range, what am I doing?
You're getting low on power.
No, I'm not. Okay. Oh, you mean, oh. I thought she said I was Asian. I'm doing well. All right. So they're the same as elk to me. They're the same as moose. They're the same as the shrub ox. They're the same as the camel that was there. And so it's good to, oh, the horses are back. And that's where I am. All right, Manda.
But Dave, can I ask you a question? Because we've had some good conversations about this. So just so everybody understands, and I think people have heard this before, right? So as a mega herbivore, physiologically, it doesn't matter, horse, elk, right, ox, 4 legs, a head, a tail, right? But physiologically, they eat grass, it goes in one way, comes out the other. I've been told horses are hindgut grazers.
They are.
Which means, right, what does that mean exactly, Dave?
Well, okay, so this is general range 151. So you're a sophomore, you got through your general biology, you decided you're going to be a range con and go work for the BLM someday, and I've got you in class, and then they're good kids. And here is the first day definition of what's going on with plants. Here's our bunch grass in the west, and here is the photosynthetic material, and it's above the surface. Here is the root material below the surface. It's about 3 to 1, but my left hand isn't that big. Okay, we capture photons from the sun, make photosynthesis, send it in carbohydrates down to the roots. Grasses are good at this. An herbivore comes and removes this. It does not stinking matter whether it's a horse or a rabbit or Bigfoot. It does not matter. When the photosynthetic material, capturing material is gone, it's gone. And so the reserves come up from the roots, it grows again. It captures photons, it makes carbohydrates, it sends them to the roots, and this is how it lives. And that's the first trophic level. The second trophic level, whether it's a horse or Bigfoot or rabbits, comes and eats it. You're fine, unless you do this too often, like your bank account. You know, your bank account goes up and down, and if your paycheck comes in on time for direct deposit, you're fine. And if you go spending too many times before you capture the photosynthetic, then you're in trouble. And that's what happens to the grass. So it doesn't matter which herbivore. Now there are some slight differences in dietary selection and where they go and whether they're eating some more forbs and whether they're capturing a little more nitrogen and whether in the winter they're a little bit more of a browser, and there's some of that. But basically, if you remove the photosynthetic material, it influences the roots. Doesn't matter which herbivore it is, including horses.
Okay, Manda, we have there's an adapter on this thing. We've had a little bit of technical stuff, and it looks like my battery didn't charge. We may lose you. I'm gonna try to change this adapter out and keep you on, but if not, I'll reboot the Zoom right away, and Dave can keep talking. And it should be really quick. He's good at talking, so I just did one.
Would I just call back?
Yeah, you'll be able to come in on the same link.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And so, like I said, I might not lose you, but I might. So here we go.
So while we're waiting for that, we'll tell Nicole.
Dave?
Yes. No.
But Dave?
Yes, I can hear you.
So horses, like these other animals, as a hunt and grazer, so the seeds pass through them quickly and come out the other end?
This is,
While they move around?
so, and it's really interesting. For example, I grew up, as I mentioned to you, in a very rural area, and everybody had a garden, and no one would use horse manure on their garden because they're hind gut fermenters, and they don't work over the seeds so much, and they would transport them better. You get more weeds in your garden from horse poop than you do from cow poop. Yeah. So every little kid knows this. So yes, the horses. I mean, the horses may eat a little more diet of a little rougher diet because they can digest it better because they're hind gut fermenters. But they travel further and distribute them better. Further, they don't have to drink as often or as much as domestic cattle, and so they will go up into rougher habitats and further and distribute the seeds better. So they eat more of the forbs, which is you'd call them a flower or whatever else. They distribute them further. They deposit them in fertilizer, and they are a little better seed distributor probably than domestic cattle.
And Dave, I think it's important that we reference the fact that the Eric Lundgren paper that came out just recently,
Yes.
right, from our house, I don't know if everybody knows, but there was an amazing groundbreaking study that came out a couple of months ago by Eric Lundgren that discussed the fact, and he referenced horses specifically in the American West and the controversy of horses in this science paper, that whether you are native or non-native, herbivores are key and critical. Horses specific were one of the ones to growing grass, to grassland ecology in helping to capture carbon in the roots of the trees, of the grasses, and how important they are herbivores. And they're realizing that this concept of native species versus non-native species may not be as important as it used to be. Would you say that's
with the herbivore and with the herbivores in relation to that, and I gave that citation in my presentation, and if you'd like to see that again, but essentially what he's saying is if it chomps off the photosynthetic capturing material, it's gone. It doesn't matter who. You went out there with clippers and took it off, it's gone. Okay, now and it grows back, and so this native non-native discussion was used against the horses, which is incredible since the domestic cattle, you realize, came from Europe, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yes, but they have a visa. They have a
Well, those of us that were born beautiful understand that the rules don't always apply to all people the same way, always. And the rules on the range don't apply to the domestic cattle the same way they do to other herbivores.
Yes, yes, yes. So, all right, this is great. And just so everybody knows that on the Rewilding America Now website, and soon to have a Rewilding Idaho website, we have what we're amassing called a science library, where we are accumulating all these kinds of papers, right? Documents which I reference as non-refutable facts, right? Science-based fact evidence that you can always go to and look up if anybody wants to learn about things and some of the stuff that Dave's talking about, or anything that you want to be able to use to help us in the fight for our wild horses and our lands.
All right.
Oh my God, Dave, let's tell them the story of Birch Creek.
Well, and I gave that discussion a little bit yesterday, but I didn't finish all of it because I just kept talking.
Do you like the picture? Look at the picture.
So the picture there is these two folks are long-term residents of Eastern Idaho. In fact, just to tell you that he's legitimate, his grandfather and my father shared an irrigation well. And if you do that in the West, then there's some trust. But anyway, it was time in their life, his wife's grandfather homesteaded the land that I talked about yesterday in Birch Creek. So it was really fun when we did the title search, and bless her heart, I'll give a little shot at those Long Island people, Manda. So our Long Island guy said, well, who's the previous owner? And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it was the Shoshone. And they stole it from him. Okay? That's the last owner. Okay? So he said, well, are there any chemical sites on it? I said, there's coyote scat. You know, he said, well, we better do a survey. I said, okay. You know, but so nobody in their family wanted to continue to ranch. And because I work with grazing buyouts, was talking to them, and they were considering a grazing buyout, which is, you would be a little bit, in some cases, ostracized. You have to sit on the other side of the chapel now. Yeah, on Sunday when everybody no, that's not funny, that's true. But he was thinking about that, but then I said, when I met Manda and she wanted to bring horses in and that kind of stuff, I said, we'll just go ahead and buy it from you, and I will take those permits and I will convert them to horse and bison. And he said, that's hard. I said, do you care? He said, no. not if you pay me.
But Dave, we didn't have to have dinner, right? They had to meet everybody, and you had to respect, it's her legacy, and she was very, paid, wanted to make sure her land wasn't overgrazed, right?
That's very interesting. There were some other people that wanted to buy it who were also local, and he said, I won't sell it to them because they'll overgraze it.
Wow.
And and we went to dinner, and they evaluated Manda to see whether she was legitimate, if she was thoughtful, and apparently she passed. So, but it was important. This had been in their family for a long time, and it was important to them that it was well taken care of. And the idea that we would have horses and bison and other wildlife at a lower intensity level for the grazing, and then hire local people to work there. All of these things are very important to our sellers, and they're going to have to live in the community. They live in the next valley over, and this news networks fast. And also, I grew up in that county, and so there's just a small high school for the whole county, and so I knew the ladies in, you know, in the clerk's office when we did the lands. Everybody knew me and that kind of thing from the past, and a lot of those stories I told them were lies. But anyway, I mean, this everybody knows, and when you work in a community like this, you have to be credible over time, and they were the gatekeepers and the arbiters of that. Yeah. All right.
And I think, Dave, it's important because if you come to this journey as wild horse people that want to see better for the horses, right? And equality and all of that, and we came to the table with these people not looking at them as, oh, they're ranchers, right? Just as people, that you have to respect the legacy. And this is I think, Dave, we've never talked about this, but one of the biggest takeaways so far for me with our project is a whole new understanding and respect for these people that homesteaded this land, right? During the Homestead Act, they came here, they believed in this, and they worked really hard. I think the problem is that politically, how it is now, it's all different. And these small mom and pop individual ranchers are the people that are left out from the corporate agricultural farming and the Koch brothers and all these little large people that have taken up all of the leases. These people are not the people that dislike the horses, right?
Right.
And they respect the land. That's what I was able to learn and see. It's everybody needs to make money and pay the bill, but they respect their heritage and the land.
Now, they would not sell to large interests. Now, some people will, and of course there's a price for everything if somebody comes in that's a large interest, but where we are in Idaho, we're just on the other side of the Continental Divide. On the other side of the Continental Divide, there are a number of people with large ranches, and if I said their last name, you would know who they are nationally. And they come in and those prices are 3 and 4 and even 5 times more per acre. Okay, and so this still has that flavor to it, but they evaluated us, and that's the kind of project that we want to have. And they were actually quite open-minded people that said, listen, if you graze the horses correctly, that works. And bison.
And we asked them we would like them to stay, right? We're hoping that at some point down the line, they, will lend a voice for us and come and see what we're doing, because it's important, right? Relationships are really critical and probably one of the most important things to any rewilding project, especially if we're trying to change the perception of horses, right? That horses are good and valuable. You must have good interpersonal relations with the people on the ground.
Yeah. Just one quick story on that. So I was up there and last spring, and the cows got out. Well, if you don't fit into the culture, you call the sheriff to come get the cows off the road. I herded the cows back in, and I had enough wire in my pickup to fix the fence. And then I had to go down to the bottom valley because there isn't phone service up there. He said, put your cows back in, but I didn't fix the fence very well. So I waited for him. He came out and we fixed the fence together. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that you kind of have to understand. So anyway, it'll be really cool. We're looking forward to it. And we have a question, Manda. We're in a point of your prison. You want to finish, or do you want me to take the question?
Well, what do you think? Can we wait? We have a little.
Yeah, let's finish real quick, and then we'll take the question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, and this, of course, is beautiful, beautiful image that you can see here. right, is, I guess, the money shot is the view from, if you come and see us at Birch Creek Valley and Jocelyn, Idaho, we're hoping to set up some with the, well, ecotourism, and we'll talk about that, but this is the view. This is where you can see wild horses and pronghorn deer and eagles and really everything else in this incredible view. Okay, so I thought, let's go over a couple, I think, for everybody, just what are the specific project objectives, right? Because rewilding is, okay, yes, we're gonna release horses and all the animals are gonna come and it's gonna be amazing. But there are also specific things that we have to make sure, right, that we are doing and that we want to, of course, solidify and have people understand what's happening. And we've listed a few here. Of course, there are tons of different objectives, and everybody on our team has their own, I don't want to say agenda, but they have their own wish list of things that they would like to see happen and participate in, right? So we want to be seen as, you know, groundbreaking rewilding project here in the States, as we will be, hopefully, the largest. We're vying to be bigger than the Montana Prairie Reserve, right? And with horses. And I was very excited when Dave, and I'm sure he'll tell us about this, but when he told me that there had been a wolverine sighting, especially since, you know, wolverines are teetering on the endangered species list, Dave, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're
right?
proposed for listing. Yeah,
So
well, yeah, go ahead.
Right?
So
Anyway, so we want to have a ceremonial space. We want to work and have a relationship with the Shoshone Bannock people whose land this originally was, and we want to, of course, incorporate their traditional knowledge along with the rewilding science work and work together with them. We want to be able to measure the carbon and work and see how Dave is guiding us in the sagebrush. And it's a fascinating conversation about the roots of the sagebrush and where the water goes and how it works, and getting those roots to be longer and monetizing carbon credits, right? Building ecotourism for the community in a way that this project invites people to participate and be a part of the rewilding experience and understanding health and wellness and the value and importance of wild horses as a keystone species, the buffalo and all that comes and is built around them, right? There is, of course, the wildlife corridor, which we'll get into, and how many amazing horses we can help to give forever homes to, where they can set history in a new way and leave their mark in a new way for a new time and place in our country. So, Dave.
I appreciate that. I want to talk on two of those. All of these are important. The one I want to talk about, you know, this idea, and you say, oh, that's so frou-frou-y, you know, and I had this discussion with an old friend of mine at the BLM about the permit, and he was mad at me. He said, I lost a lot of respect for you for using horses. And I said, and he came from a rural small school like I did, and I actually helped him when he was early in his career get a job. And I said to him, oh, so the economy of the cattle industry, where a guy can run a small cow-calf operation and then raise hay and stuff and make it go like you and I grew up doing, that works pretty good, right? He said, yeah, and this ecotourism stuff is frou-frou. And I said, when I grew up, there were 3 cafes in Birch Creek. And there were probably 5 or 6 families with kids, and they had just not done the grade school anymore. They're shipping them to Clark County. Said, there's 8 people in that valley now. Don't you tell me that's working. Don't you tell me that's working. I grew up in those towns, and I know it's not working. The farm that my father had was consolidated into a larger farm where 3 or 4 farms went into it. The large farm that my brother-in-law had that I grew up in got bought out by a mega millionaire who got bought out by a billionaire, and it was combined with the rest of the valley. And we all grew up moving pipe and irrigating. There's no kids moving pipe and irrigating there anymore. Okay, so we're bringing people to do that. Am I out of time?
No,
Well, why are you nervous?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if you're gonna go off topic again.
I'm not. So that's the ecotourism. The other thing is, genes move in that corridor between those cores of Yellowstone and Central Idaho, and they move in the bodies of animals.
Well, wait, I have to get to the corridor.
Oh, there's the corridor.
Now
Right.
I'm in the corridor page.
Thank you.
Go.
You go.
No, you go. Well, listen, there's nothing I can say. You have to hear it from Dave because, well, let me just take, Dave, give me 2 seconds to take a step back. What I wanted to say in the beginning, which I didn't share with everybody, I wanted to give them a 2-minute soundbite of how you and I connected. It is an incredible moment in time. I'm a person that believes in all things for reason and synchronicity, and I'm, a little bit that spiritual person, and, that doesn't always, the science thing. But, but listen, it's Manda land. We live in Manda land over here, and sometimes, right? So I received an email from Dave about 1.5 years ago at the referral of Eric Mulbar. And it was a long email, and I think it was emailed to Ross as well. And it was Dave's introduction and introducing us, and he gave a description of a vision that he has. And his vision was rewilding in Birch Creek. And I have to say, it was probably the most important email that I probably will have ever received. Because meeting Dave and his vision was just like a hand in a glove to the vision that we at Canada Foundation and now RAM have always imagined for our wild horses and for the rewilding that we've wanted to do. So I just wanted everybody to understand how we came to be, how important this project really is, how the vision that Dave has had this vision for 25 years, Dave?
Yeah. So.
Something like that?
He's saying,
Right?
yeah, he's nodding.
Yes, sorry.
Wait, he's fainted. So, yes, so Dave has had this vision, I've had a vision, and it was just the timing and the synchronicity and, all the stars were aligned in bringing this opportunity together. And what an honor it is for me and everybody here at Rewilding America now to be working with Dave and to work together to fulfill all of the visions, right? And the agendas and the opportunity for the greater good that we have. So now, Dave,
Thanks.
tell everybody, this is the most amazing part of the story. I'm sure you've spoken of this in your
I did
talk.
yesterday a little bit, but I would like everybody, and thanks for saying that, Amanda, but this is the corridor.
Oh.
And there's a lot of, and in that paper that was referenced yesterday, and I referenced it in my talk too, there was the maps that show the corridors. And I don't mean to be too critical, because those are good, in fact, I know 2 of the scientists that wrote that, and I called them up and said, what were the coefficients that you used to build those maps? And I got the same answer you always get, and it's, well, I don't know, some graduate school student in the basement at someplace in Missoula, University of Montana, because that's where the good biologists came from for 3 or 4 generations on this. And they try and they make those corridors work between these islands. And I said to him, that doesn't work, because all of that white is private land. And this year, there's ranches on it. And in 150 years, there's gonna be a town, it's gonna look like Salt Lake. And here is 97% public land. That's where the corridor is. And I get a little grouchy about this. I have to be careful. I know this is being recorded. So all of my many, many friends in Missoula, just for a minute. The cores are in Wyoming and Idaho. And the corridor is in Idaho. And the hubris is in Missoula, Montana. That's fine.
So Dave,
Sorry.
so please share with everybody why the first 4 allotments that Idaho owns that gives us the 70,000 grazing per permanent grazing acres. Why is that so? Why is that the place that you chose to start with for the corridor?
Yeah, there's 2 reasons. One is practical and one is ecological, and that's because it's right there and it controls movement both ways. The other reason is that's where the first rancher who would sell was.
But from an ecological perspective and
Yeah, I'm pointing to that valley that controls both ways, Manda, and that so you need a grizzly bear can do that in a night, easy. And if it's a big boar and there's a sow grizzly over there, he can do it in 4 hours. Okay, so this is giving us what's called in ecology a refuge for genes and the phenotype as well, to sit there and not get killed. And they're not going to get killed on our ranch and on our permit when they kill a foal or when they kill a bison calf. And the same with the wolves. And then you get those mature populations of predators as well. And when you get mature populations of predators, then your herbivores know how to respond to them. And we start having what I would call a more sophisticated and mature level of interaction between predators and prey. And it starts to be what's called in ecological terms a properly functioning ecosystem. All of the attributes are work now, and I hate the word balance. It's not in stinking balance. Ecosystems are not in balance. They move back and forth between windows, but that's properly functioning, okay? And that's what you get, and that's why we started there. So we started there because of the ecological reason, and then because pragmatically that's what was for sale. We have one question, Manda, I'm going to take. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Are animals crossing a highway or freeway in this corridor?
There is one highway. It's Highway 28. It is blacktop, but it's not a highway that most of you would think of is a highway.
Can animals get hurt if they cross?
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. And we will need an
but
overpass.
Dave, these are all part of the plan, right? In working with the counties, right, and the municipalities in hopefully building overpasses or crossings. And explain that the highway is really one lane, right? It's a one back road.
Well, yeah, it's 2-lane highway, but it's blacktop. If some other allotments do come available and we purchase those, we will pull the cross fences and you'll have a straight migration for 55 miles. We will keep the road fenced. There's a question here and then we're going here.
How much risk is there from surrounding areas? So there's this limited 70,000 acre patch. What about to the east and west of it if there was excessive grazing or risk that block?
12,000 foot mountains and 11,000 foot mountains.
It's a valley.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. Nobody get there. Yeah. Those I evaluated those other valleys, and for the reasons that I talked about a little bit yesterday, I chose this one. Yeah, yeah. Great question. Yeah. No, we're here and then back here.
Just a quick question, is there a trail through there from?
So it's called Uncle Ike Pass.
Okay.
On one side, and it's called Pass Creek on the other. Pass Creek, there's a gazillion of. I don't know where Uncle Ike came from. We really don't. But that's the pass, and that's the pass you go through. And it's not very wide. You can only take a four-wheeler through there.
An ATV?
ATV, four-wheeler. Yeah.
So it's not gonna be like an open?
Now, people come there. This is public land. And people come there and camp and fish, and people come there and hunt. Yeah, this is public land. And if you want Pleistocene megafauna time frame where that's gone. That's the way it is.
But Dave, explain, in our plan, right, we have lots of, the more opportunity we have, if other allotments come up for sale, I mean, we are feeling, and there are ways to work in community, which is our plan, that the hunting will sort of weed away. We're hoping to weed the hunting down, and the hunting is mostly elk, correct, Dave?
Yes, and deer and pronghorn, and there will always be some hunting there under the social structure that we have in the United States of America. That's the way it is. Okay, but I want to say this to you, and I know not everybody probably will. I grew up hunting. I grew up trapping. Okay, you grow up on the frontier. That's kind of the way you grow up, and historical societies also hunted some. That's what they did. And it's different a little bit now. They have drones, they have walkie-talkies, that's how they hunt. But some animals will die there, but I don't see that as the major issue here. I mean, what I see here is major populations of different intraspecific and interspecific interactions going on with predator and prey and herbivores that are influencing one another and migrating with the seasons and having gene flow that then goes back and forth. So, I mean, this is about as good as it gets. And this is about our chance. And this is why I selected it. And I've been thinking about this for a long time. I had the opportunity of growing up there and watching those passes and which way the animals came through. And this is our go. This is our go at it. Okay, go ahead, Manda. So you show the show the stippled ones, that you purchased.
Okay, and I want to just, if it's okay, add to this. There is no perfect scenario here where we get everything we want. This is pretty darn close, and the most important thing one of the most important things about Birch Creek Valley, to me, it's the fact that it is depopulated. There are 8 people there. Clark County has 790 people.
900.
900. I'm
Knock it
sorry.
off.
So we have an opportunity to show why ecotourism and initiatives revolving around rewilding with wild horses brings value. We can help the community. So the community will only have positive things to say, right, about this project.
Yeah.
Because now we've brought more people to the county, and there's an opportunity to build some tourism and some lodging and bring some jobs into the town and to build a new lifestyle. And
Yeah.
these are all really, really good things. So I thought that we would just take a minute and share. This is one of the most exciting things. Dave, the permit process, the Forest Service, the BLM, I mean, how the land has been divvied up, how the permits work, is a complicated set of events, and of course there's a lot of politics involved, and it's such an old, antiquated procedure and mindset. I mean, am I saying that right, Dave?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're still in that cowboy culture. It's really, to me, it's the same as it was in the 1880s when, or what was the exact year of the Homestead Act, when they started giving allotments. I mean, nothing has evolved or changed. This is the biggest issue in Washington. Farm subsidy, all the things that go along with the permits is back from hundreds of years ago during this cowboy culture, where everything was built around ranching, and the ranching industry was the only way to be. So this is a really, for me, a really big deal and it was a risk. It was a risk when we purchased the land, the base property along with the permits. There's no guarantee the landowner would sign the permits over to you. But because they signed it over to you, did not guarantee that the Forest Service or the BLM would issue those permits to you. Am I saying that right, Dave?
Yeah, there's a pretty good likelihood that it would work, but it is a complicated process, and even same offices of the same agency don't handle it the same way. And
it was Dave's expertise, his time in the Forest Service, the confidence that people in the community have with him, and was key to helping us. But I thought it would be important if people just had an understanding about the permit process, like this historical event that happened with our first Forest Service permit, and now with the BLM.
Yeah, and it was fun, and it was meaningful. And by the way, the agencies have taken some criticism, but also in this meetings and warranted, but also the folks that I'm working with understand this, and we have some good, thoughtful folks that we're working with, and they're pulling for me. And even though I still had to jump their hoops, that's one of the reasons we selected this area, is that we had a good cadre of thoughtful, qualified people working in the agencies. So, yeah.
And I think that's important for people to know, right? Because we just see everything from Washington. But you know what I'm learning, of course, right? There's Washington, then each state has its own BLM person, but then each location has BLM offices and people in those offices. And I think what we're learning, obviously, are that the people that are working in the offices are more of the environmental people. These are the people that like the animals. These are the people that would like to see positive change. Would you say that that's correct, Dave?
Yeah, and of course, I'll just finish up with this. They're wanting to see good things happen. So yeah.
So, and it was very exciting. Tell them what you said to me when I got the email with the green paper.
I think that is the first time that the Forest Service has had allotments where they've had horses before, rodeo stock, just regular saddle horses, and a lot of them. That's true, but I don't think to my knowledge, there's not ever been a Forest Service allotment that had wild horses brought on to it. I think that's the
So
first
Dave
time.
said to me, here, you probably are the first person in America to have a Forest Service permit allotment for wild, it says wild horses and donkeys. But, didn't say burro, it says wild horses and,
Wild horses, yeah. And it's interesting, so the discussion, and I respect very much the discussion that was had on HMAs and the plan and how people understand this and are working it through and trying to get that. It's like, yeah, but I'm not doing that. I'm tired of that, and I am an old man and I don't have time for that. And I am bringing horses as livestock onto a permit, and these are wild horses. So it's a new place. It's not an HMA. We don't need no stinking HMA. Okay?
and it was interesting timing because it's all sort of, I feel like change is possible. We're doing this, and then of course everyone heard the lawsuit that Laura Lee and I had been working on for 2 years, right? The pancake lawsuit, the judge voted in favor of us, and the BLM office there has to go back and do a proper environmental assessment. So that's an amazing thing. So, I don't know, maybe I'm feeling maybe the tides will are turning a little bit now because things have to change, they can't remain the same, right? We must always change.
So we've got about 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I wanna make sure
Okay.
that we play the video. The video's amazing.
You gotta do the video, because that's all the time we have then.
7 minutes, but July 15th is the beginning.
Yeah, that's
Okay, all right, yeah.
You're all invited.
July 15th, we are releasing 225 horses for the first time on our Forest Service allotment.
Woo!
Are they gonna be
Yay.
breeding?
Okay, you want so let me play our 7-minute video,
Okay,
Are they gonna be
is
breeding?
that right?
Are they fertile?
yes, yes.
You bet your sweet baby.
Okay, can you see this?
Yes, you can.
All right, and then Dave, jump in at any time. You can see it big now?
Not yet.
Freedom comes from within. You have to feel the just free. The horses are representative of that.
It starts out
Same
at
as
night time.
Amanda,
We're not seeing it.
we're not seeing the video, we're just hearing audio.
Wait, can you see it?
No.
We only hear audio, no visual.
Okay, hold on. I think. Wait. I know what to do. Hold on. Wait. I think I know what to do. Hold on. Aha.
It's not our generation, really. We're learning. I can see
Hold on.
Oh, yeah. You can look in the back, so you can see what she sees, guys.
Yeah, look
Hold
around.
on 1 second.
She's frozen.
You're froze, Amanda. Oops. Okay.
Or she's just really good at
Well, she's doing that, I'll tell you, everyone is invited.
Can she email you, right?
Just eat.
Oh, wait. Linda,
Yeah.
what's your Zoom password?
I don't know. Here. You're frozen right now, Amanda.
Yeah.
Cause it came up, the frame came up. There you, okay.
Okay, but you could see it, but you couldn't hear it?
Yeah, now we see a picture of you and then the horse, and then we see some stuff on the bottom.
Still frozen. We should have started from the beginning.
Yeah, you got, it's not playing still.
We get Dave to tell us.
So you can't see it?
No,
We see it, but it's not playing.
it's not playing.
It, because it's, your Zoom needs to, it needs to allow me to share the.
Oh, I thought I made you co-host. Let me check that again.
But I was, but it's asking me to, in order to share the sound, right?
Yeah. Wait, no, we're getting the sound, we're not getting the visual.
Well, we were getting her sound, we weren't getting the videos. There was some videos.
But I need your password for your Zoom.
You mean the passcode for the Zoom meeting? For the Zoom meeting?
Your login, it said, please restart your audio sharing application, enter your password to allow this, to share your computer audio.
I'm sorry?
That should be hers, not yours.
Okay, it should be yours, Amanda. I wonder if we can,
Okay.
hang on.
Right.
If she goes up to the top where the little drop down thing is,
If
there
you-
should be a,
The view?
they tried to make it easier for people to find.
If you go all the way up to the right-hand corner, there's a thing that says view, that should.
Hold on.
Okay.
Do you see this now?
Yeah, I see horses and, yeah, I see stuff there.
Okay, wait, now do you see it full screen?
It's not full screen. But, I mean, it's big
Okay.
enough, if we can get to play there, that would work. We just need to restart it.
Okay, 'cause it was, it's,
You're full screen now, but we don't have the picture's not playing.
yeah, no, I know.
This technology is wonderful when it works.
Just hit play.
You have full screen there, try that. Click there.
Do you see full screen?
Did you click it?
Yeah, hold on. Now you see full screen?
Yes, it's full screen, okay, yeah. Now yeah, and if you can start it over, hopefully it'll work. Okay.
Do you hear it?
Well, no, you gotta, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you have audio?
No, we don't see it, but we don't hear it. There you go, we got it.
Turn the volume up. The horses, a representative of that, saving them saves all of us. In 1971, the government created the American Wild Horse and Burro Act. You have volume? It says.
Yes,
that
yes.
horses are an integral component to the natural system, and that they should roam free on the public rangelands. Rewilding now is focused on saving wild horses. Rewilding is the solution.
Rewilding is an effort to restore ecological relationships among the diversity of native species in the region.
There are subspecies in nature that provides opportunities for thousands of others, and that's what we call keystone species, and the horse is definitely one of them.
Our entire history is connected to those horses. They are our compatriots from the beginning of time. But the horses are caught in the crossfire of the land grab. There are wonderful resources in our lands. Special interest groups like the cattle lobby get the mainstay of the leases because it's business. So they come in and take the horses out. The government is chasing them down with helicopters, driving them into holding facilities, chasing these horses to death with babies trying to catch up. The land mandated for the horses is now 50% less than it was in 1971.
Here's the problem with that. Not only do you lose the diversity of native species, but the bacteria and viruses in the soils that are very important for plant growth and life have all been changed. This is not a functioning ecosystem in the way we'd like to see it.
The truth is, without the diversity of all living beings, we won't survive.
We're at a place they call Sand Creek in North Dakota. My family purchased this property 25 years ago. This is cattle country, and we're ridiculed because we have horses here. Everybody has this thing where they think horses are detrimental. All I have to tell you is, I think you need to look at my place. This sunflower crop that I'll take to market wouldn't grow like this without the horses. horses are good for the soil. I think this is living proof that there can be a balance.
Having horses or stored grasslands works very simply. They eat a great deal of grass. As they pass out their waste, you get preservation of things like seeds. Why is that important? Because that's the new generation.
The transition from monocultural intensive farming to more natural grazing systems would be a solution for a lot of climate challenges in the United States.
Fossil fuels exhale an enormous amount of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, where they contribute to warming the planet. Rewilding captures some of these greenhouse gases in roots and plant life, heating carbon in the ground for the benefit of all.
Big thing about owning property is if you don't take care of it, right, I don't feel you deserve it. And put a price on it. Sorry, it's an emotional thing for me, but it's the love of my life. I hope my kids and my grandkids can carry on what my dad started and be involved with horses for generations to come.
I got in contact with the people here in the United States to share my experiences with rewilding in Europe. This all started in the 80s in the Netherlands because there was not much left of nature in the Netherlands. We found many nature-based solutions to create a very diverse landscape based on all the benefits that rewilding provides.
Wild horses help us grow grass, just like the buffalo. They can help to build biodiversity, bring other animals back. I'm not saying we shouldn't have cattle. We just need to have balance.
In culture, the buffalo and the horses are part of us. This is the first time in history that this land has ever had wild horses. Even though we have a colonized, heavily regulated group of inventory, we still can make use of our own federal land to raise buffalo, take care of horses. Not very many people can do that. So that's unique. For people who are true conservationists, they understood the land, the weather. We have special horses trained for buffalo hunting. How many people can do that today? That's lost. That was our survival. Fourth keystone with our own culture and who we are.
Rewilding is really just the traditional ecological knowledge and the understanding that native cultures have.
We have land reservation, those with subtract. We have water, we have préjé, that's graft in my language, and we can offer that, we can alleviate some pain from what the horses go through. We can give them comfort, we can give them a home.
I'm decolonizing myself to raise buffalo and bring back wild horses. And I don't bow down to nobody. I'm born and raised here like my ancestors. I'm doing what I love doing, and I'm not gonna quit.
We rescued horses from the Wheaton holding facility in Wyoming. One of them had been in captivity for 9 years. Never known what it would be like to be free and eat grass. I was very emotional. They were going to be free.
If I have lived in going to heaven instead of dying and going to heaven.
My brother performed a ceremony. He showed us the heart of the horse. And you see him going up the hill, and you hear him snoring. That's the song that they're carrying with them. What do they do? They dance.
When I'm out here alone, when I walk through the herd, it's amazing what you can gain from that friendship with that horse, that bond with that horse, and from that peace and tranquility within that horse.
Here at Rewilding America Now, we are doing something that has never been done before in the United States. We are truly bringing wild nature back through our rewilding initiatives here in Birch Creek, Idaho. On 400,000 acres of pristine lands, horses and other keystone species can run wild and coexist in peace. It will also create a much-needed wildlife corridor to Yellowstone National Park, allowing all animals to continue their migratory patterns as they transform the environment. Capturing carbon, building biodiversity, and bringing nature back to an original state of being. Join us in the movement to rewild and be a part of the future, be a part of the journey.
I love that.
We are people saving horses, horses saving humanity.
Hello.
Hold on, I gotta turn that off. Freedom comes from within. Yep. Okay. All right, that's what I got.
Well, thank you so much, Manda, and we look so forward to following you, and I'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, and please, two quick things, I know you gotta go, but if there are any questions that, Dave can't exactly answer, which I don't think is true, I think Dave can answer everything, and anything you wanna know, cause he's the guy. But if there's anything else you wanna know, or Dave, any messages or anything I can do for anybody, please reach out, don't be a stranger, right? And again, thank you, Linda, and everybody there for doing this, for the wild horses, and I'm just honored to be a part of this.
Like I said, we thank you for what you're doing. This is gonna be groundbreaking. Thank you so much.
Well, I couldn't do it without everybody.